relationships is not that you're faking it, but role-playing in the sense that you're expressing your emotions, or you're expressing, or you're describing something that you would like to do. Animations can only go so far, and they can be very, if you've been doing it for a long time, you see the same things over and over, and they don't get exciting anymore. So, but if you have role-playing skills, and you go and extending fantasies. Yeah, if you just wear the avatar of a furry, I wouldn't call that role playing. But if you act like one, and you do things, you describe what you're doing that your animation doesn't do, that would be role playing. Yes, the animations can be very limited, and yes, that's the text. That's the role. That's what I would call role playing, and that extends that whole thing, and it makes it very. It also gives your partner an idea of what you're feeling. How does it affect you? What they say, they would say something that they said that they pretend they do, and it affects you in real life. You feel the shiver, you kind of, you do the, your eyes roll or whatever. And if you say that, if you say that out loud, if you role play that you're doing that, your eyes are rolling, that you're feeling the shiver, and your lips are quivering, your partner gets a feeling, they get a reaction out of that, and they feel closer to you. And so things like that so bringing role play in would be if you have the role playing skills, make use of that. So you also want to know, lovely. We'll talk about that. Actually, we'll bring back that question later on when we do the Q&A. So there's a lot of people. Yes, there's a lot of people who have more vocabulary. Actually, I have role played with people who hardly speak English. So it is possible. You can do role play, even though it's not. You probably have to try to understand what you're trying to say, because they have broken English. But you can work around it. There's Google Translate. A lot of people have done role play using Google Translate. I mean, I don't mean like the yes baby thing kind of. I wouldn't call that role play. That would be more like just reactions, and like just they can get boring also if it's just like moans and the usual yes baby whatever. That I wouldn't call that role play. But sure, you can use that. But role playing is more like the description of where you're going. But I don't want to spend too much time on that, because we have to cover the relationships, not the sex part of it here. So what you give, okay, the reality is, what you give your partner in a virtual world is very limited, based on compared to what you can give them in real life. In real life, you can give them a touch. They can see the twitches in your lips or whatever. They can see how your eyes light up. They can get all that. But in a virtual world, there's only so much that you can give a partner. They can give you the what, and I'll call it, this is the acronym WHAT, the what. The words, your honesty, your attention, and your time. Those are the only real things that you can give a partner. And I'm going to go through all that. Your words, that's what I was talking about, is the role play. You can, yes, you can describe it literally. And yes, and it's, this is wonderful. So your words is what you give them. You can bring up their spirit by giving them the right words, or you can tear them down. There's strength in words. If there are writers in this room, I'd like to know if you just say hi if you're a writer, or if you think you're a writer, or you're hoping to be a writer. You know how strong words can be, the impact of words to a person. You give them that. The second part is honesty. I had a friend within quotes, for 2.5 years, and I didn't know that I was lied to for 2.5 years. That is very, very painful. And in a more intimate relationship, that's even worse. Um, Not everybody is going to be honest. I understand that. Not everybody is going to tell you the full truth because they are either protecting themselves or they're protecting somebody. Hopefully, um, they are not they're not trying to deceive you on purpose in order to get something from you without getting anything back, because every relationship is a give and take. No, it doesn't necessarily mean it's an equal give and take. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same type of give and take. You might get here, oh great, you might get you know you might get pleasure from sex, whereas your partner might be getting pleasure from the intimacy that you have, for example. So there's a give and take. You give sex in exchange for intimacy, for emotional support, affection. Yes, thank you. So it's a give and take. But when you're being dishonest, when somebody's being dishonest, or if somebody's being dishonest with you, then they're trying to get something without giving something back. When you're giving away your real life information, for example, and they don't return it back, you get to at a disadvantage because they know about you whereas you don't know about them. It doesn't always happen. Many people opt to say who they are in real life, whereas other people have to absolutely be anonymous for whatever reason, and that's okay. You can choose to deal with that the way any way you want. I've been in relationships where it was both. We both knew each other's real life identities, and I've been in relationships where they knew mine and I didn't know them. Psycho support. Yes, it's your choice and their choice. Um, yes, exactly. It has to be respect. But in terms of honesty, I would I would there are things that you have to be honest about. If you're I'm I am well, what I do in my life lately is that I have multiple lovers at all at the same time. I'm polyamorous, and this is what the dim sum lifestyle is also a bit about. Um, what I do is I tell each of my lovers that I do have other lovers, but I don't tell them the details. That's one of the ways I deal with the jealousy between them. They know that I have other lovers. They know that I will not compromise their time. So each of them have their own time, but I will not tell them detail. I don't even tell them the names. I use nicknames, or I make up nicknames for them. So, well, it's not quite open. It's, that yes, exactly, honesty, but with discretion. It's not quite open cards because they know that the cards are there. They just don't see the cards. They don't know what the cards are. Yes, exactly. So that kind of honesty. And don't tell somebody that you like something. I mean, this is the same with real life, right? Like when you're doing something during sex and you don't like it, you're not gonna tell them that, oh yes, baby, I love what you're doing to me, kind of thing, like that. But don't be more. I would say be more honest, because it's very difficult in a virtual world to kind of know what's real and what isn't. And when somebody assumes that what you're telling them is real, it gets very hurtful when never stop talking. It gets very hurtful when they find out that it's not, because then all of a sudden their world, whatever their image of you is, they base it on what you tell them, and the world that they imagine they're sharing with you, it falls apart, because what part of that is real and what part of it is imaginary. Yes, deceiving is very difficult. If we can get everybody to, the thing is though, what I found though is people that they would reciprocate. If you start being more open to them, they start opening up also. So it puts us at a disadvantage for some people who are really out there to just deceive. But I think it makes a better world eventually. it makes a better world overall for the rest of it. We can build a society. I mean, this is the thing about metaverse. The metaverse is that we can build our own utopia. So it's not just a utopia in terms of the physical stuff, that's all the pixels that we see, all the things that we build, but also in the relationships that we create, then we can make it a utopia. But it's idealistic, yes. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just like in a woo woo land. But it's a hope. It's a goal. And I think honesty is a big part of it. I'm reading Lovely's message. Illusion is not deception. Um, Deception, yes, that's true tonight. Something to think about. Yes, yes. Now let's move on to the A, to attention. I found out that we're already halfway through the hour. Your attention. Neko, I agree. And sometimes I've been guilty of that, bringing anger and problems in um, when we really would not. Um, we really shouldn't. We shouldn't have even logged in. But the thing is, when you're forced to be logged in because you made a commitment to come in, and it kind of sometimes sips out, then you just have to kind of uh, do damage control and apologize. I always apologize. It's always just about apologizing sometimes. But yeah, yeah. Okay, so the A in what is your attention. What I have seen a lot in Second Life is that you would go into um, a dance place, for example, and you see couples dancing together, but they're not talking to each other. They're talking to other people, and they would IM you and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And stuff like that, and you start thinking, why are they dancing with that person if they're not paying attention to them? Why spend time with somebody or pretend to spend, like for example in real life when you're having maybe dinner or lunch with somebody, and you're talking on the phone. What's the point of, I mean, unless you're just there for eating, then yeah, sure, but it seems very rude, right? But then in real life, when you're going dancing or being together, your partner is going to expect that they have your full attention. Hopefully they do. Otherwise, it's not. What's the point of spending time there? It's not quality time. Yes, it's very rude. Yes. So attention is one thing. Even if you have multiple lovers, what what you do, you don't IM all of them at the same time. You don't IM two or more of them at the same time. Somebody IMs you while you're with somebody else. You say, I say, hey, I'm kind of busy here. Can I just, can we chat later? I'll friend you and catch up with you again later. So, so attention is another thing that you can give your partner in virtual reality. And then finally, there's time. Time, people would say that, oh, it's just a virtual relationship. Oh, it's just a virtual friendship. It's not really as important as my real life. Yes, you do need to schedule. But the thing is that you can have a virtual avatar, you can have virtual clothes, you can have a virtual house, a virtual car, a virtual helicopter, a virtual whatever. But time, you cannot have a virtual time. Your time, the time that you spend here, the time that you're spending here now with me, I am grateful for because it's your real time. It's real, and you only have so much time. I understand that. I understand that we all have time is eternal. Assuming that time is eternal, right? We only have so much time in our lifetime, and therefore we have to prioritize what we do within that time that we're allowed to have. We all have 24 hours a day. That's it. So when you give somebody time, whether you're in virtual reality or whether you're out there in real life, it's real. And that's every time somebody gives me time, their time, they spend time for me, dedicated just for me, I have their full attention. That is a wonderful, wonderful gift because they can't take it back. So when you give somebody your full attention for a certain amount of time, that is a wonderful gift that you're giving them. Yes, Nico. Perfect. Yes, you have to let them know. If you do not have time, you have to let them know. We do have our busy times, like you're in crunch mode at work or whatever, or you have to take care of children, or you have to do this, you have to do that. That's another part of the honesty thing, right? You have to say, I have to, do. I I've seen people who have actually though lied about it, where they would say that I have to log off. I'm needed. My children need me, and then I find out that they log in with a different account and to be with somebody else. So there's the things are like that are going to happen, but um, yes, yes, that's happened, and it hurts. It hurts like hell when you find that out. Um, so those are the things that you can give somebody. So now, okay, now that we've talked about that, I'm trying to go fast here. How much do I? Oh, you said I have a full hour, but I'm going to try to spend to save a little bit of time to um, take more formal questions towards the end. If I missed any question that you mentioned in the chat earlier, please remind me again when we get to the Q&A area. So now to get to the meat of this presentation, how to savor love like dim sum. This is actually um, it is actually part of my book. This is in the end of my book. So I would recommend buying the book. And here's my pitch for my book. I would recommend buying the book to talk about, to read about my insights about relationships and a whole lot of different things that occurred to me during my time in virtual reality. And then towards the end of it is what I'm going to discuss now, is how to go into these relationships. The benefit of Thank you. The benefit of being in a virtual world is that you don't have to take hours to prepare. Take a shower, figure out what dress to wear or what outfit to wear or what socks go together. Or, what socks are matching and what shoes to go with the outfit and all that stuff. And then how to figure out how to get to where you're going to meet your partner. That's the benefit of virtual reality. But there are other things that we have to do to prepare also, for one. So we'll start with the beginning. Oh, shower. Well, you can do the shower on purpose if you want to do it. That'll be part of the date. But the first thing is to put yourself together. So I apologize. I didn't really quite put my avatar together because I didn't customize my avatar very much. This is the best I could do with the time that I had because I'm really, really a newbie here. And then fill out your profile. And I think Veronica had mentioned this in the previous session about what to put in your profile and why and all that, because people figure out how to talk to you. They already have, instead, it's not like real life where they don't know what to say after hi. So if you have something in your profile and your interests are there and they can tell, they can tell a bit more about what you like to do and things that you've done, then it gives them a head start. It makes them more comfortable about approaching you. Then go out there, meet people, see and be seen. This is, I think, easier in other verse than in Second Life, because Second Life there's very few, there aren't that many places to go and meet people, and when you do, it's usually spread out. So you have to kind of know where to go and around what time to go, in order to make sure that there's enough people there to kind of hang out with. And then I think the important part is to have a contract. If you want to be with somebody for a long time, you have to either have a contract, at least a discussion. And I'm going to go over what I think you should discuss when you're starting a relationship. You can do this informally, and you don't have to do this in one sitting, for example. You just kind of like bring it up, make it part of the conversation. But if you're going to plan to do the dim sum relationship style, you have to define the scope of your relationship. For example, there are some people who say, okay, we are partners with this avatar and with my avatar X and your avatar Y, but if I use my avatar ABC, then I'm free. Or I can have another avatar for another lover. This is another way to to avoid the jealousy part, because then they don't know what you're up to. They don't see you, even though they know it that you're out there. They don't see you, and be seeing you makes them very, very jealous. Um, you can also say that, okay, we are partners here in this world, in Second Life, for example, but we're not partners in Otherverse, or vice versa, or in Kitely, or in OpenSim, or whatever. That's one way of dividing up the scope. But you have to discuss this, and you both have to be comfortable with it. Different names as well as different avatars. Yes, that's in Second Life. You're allowed to have multiple accounts. Lara, well, we can talk about why you think that's bullshit. Um, but 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 this is not going to be for everybody. So and I'm sure that I'm shocking a lot of people. So and then another way of another thing that you probably would have to discuss is duration. How long you want the relationship to be, because some people may be expecting that your um, you're going to be a long-term relationship, whereas your partner might be thinking that it's only for a short time. So what you can do, what I suggest that people do, is to say, okay, we'll try it for maybe a month, and then we'll see how we are at that time. The reason for this is that it becomes very difficult for people to leave, that they would just, or to say goodbye, that they would just leave, disappear without saying goodbye. It's just easier for them that way. But if you give them, if you tell them that yes, we're going to discuss it again at this point in time, then it's easier for them to know. Then they know that you're also open to discussing it. It makes it a lot easier that way than to analyze, to assess how you're doing at that point. Um, Another point to discuss is visibility. Some people, if you're going to be doing the polyamorous lifestyle, you're also going to need to worry about whether you want to be visible, if you want the public to know that you're together. Um, for for a, for real life relationships, that's almost a natural. You can't avoid it. You only have one person. If you're using multiple avatars for different lovers, then you need to know. Or if you're using the same avatar, for example, and with multiple lovers, then you need to know whether you want to make it public, if you want to let people to know that or not, because otherwise the other partners would be jealous too. If you're more public about one lover, your friends will probably think that you're just with that lover, and then so your other lovers might feel out of place. Um, we'll talk about the profiles also. There's also about the separation that I'm thinking, that I'm kind of like making it part of this, the separation of Bam Bam, we're talking about polyamory. If you do polyamory, where you have multiple lovers at the same time, do I need to back up? That's another option, Whiskey. Multiple open relationships with a number one lover. That's another option. You don't have to. You don't have to do it. Yes, it's an option. It's an optional thing. Okay. Um, so another thing that you want to talk about is boundaries, and I mentioned this earlier. Like, what are you willing to do? Um, if you're if you're if your sexual preferences are different, for example, what are you willing to do? How far are you willing to go? Um, if you're there, if your like your what you reveal about your real life relationship, your real life information, that's another thing that you want to discuss. Whether you want um, to give a little bit more, if you're okay with that, or if you want to only give about as much as the other person is willing to give. Then there's logistics. Again, the scheduling. What time are you going to meet? Because unless you schedule something, it's not like real life where you can easily call somebody, especially if they're anonymous. You have to schedule a time that you're going to be. Some people are like, oh no, I can't do that because, my schedule is crazy in real life. I only come in once in a while. It's going to be very difficult to have a relationship if you only come in once in a while. And it's very hard for the other person because the other person is going to feel like they're just a toy that you just put on the shelf when you're done with them, and then you take them down when you need them. So, schedule it. If the person means something to you, schedule a time to be with them, and it tells them that you have at least some kind of commitment to that person. Emergencies is another thing to mention. We're not able to come in when we say we're going to come in. You get hit by a bus or something, or your internet goes down, and you can't do anything about it, and you can't call them because you don't know their phone number. It's the only way that you know that you can reach them is through the virtual world. Let them know that you can find a way to send them a message. Like I can, for example, ask my sister when she used to be in Second Life also, but she isn't anymore. I could ask her to just, I am this person, and just tell him I can't come in because I don't have internet or something like that. And then she would log in quickly and just send a message. Things like that. Or what to do if, for example, you were in a hospital. How are you going to send a message and let the other person know? That's more like this, just being very, just being considerate with the partner who's waiting for you. The next one is a stop-loss indicator. More like if it's more like for the person who's left behind. There's a lot of people who would just disappear for whatever reason, and the people left behind may be waiting for a long time for you, and they could be hurting meanwhile. Yes. So what you can say, if you're the one who's left behind, what's your limit? How long would you wait and before you move on? Before you try to heal from this relationship and move on. So you have to let the other person know, because then they won't expect you to still be waiting for them if they've been gone for a year, for example. That would be just hard on you. 2 years, oh my God, that's a long time. That's a very long time. Then the information sharing I've already mentioned before, and then finally, how are you going to end it? I had a customer actually one time, and she was requesting a custom. Wow, Bam Bam, we have to talk about this. But let me finish this. I'm at the last part. I had a customer, and she asked for a custom gift to be made for her lover. It was a necklace, and I go, are you celebrating an anniversary or something? And she said, no, my lover and I are breaking up, and that was her goodbye thing. Breakups are very, very difficult. Breakups are very, very painful. Even if you consider it as it's just virtual reality. It's not serious. It's not a big deal. You're still going to get hurt. Even if you're the one who's breaking away, it's still painful. There's still some pain there. So what I suggest is more like thinking of, yes, the pain is real. Here's my suggestion. Instead of thinking of something being taken away from you, think of the entire relationship, from the time that you met the person, the time that you spent together, and even the time where you break up. Think of it as a gift. It was a gift given to you. It's a short gift only for that time. Think of it that way. If you think of it that way, you don't have to feel pain because you got a gift. You don't have to forgive because it was a gift. You won't forgive a gift. You say thank you for a gift. So if you think of it as a gift, the whole thing, even the breaking up, but because they're breaking up from you to get you ready for somebody else, for another experience, for something better, then you can You can be grateful for what you got, for what they gave you. That makes it a whole lot easier to accept. Then, when you're done with the relationship, take your time, set down your chopsticks, burp, burp meaning analyze it, what went right, what went wrong. Yes, even for memories, even for the pain, be grateful for the pain. Analyze it, think about it. What lesson do you get from it? What would you do again? What would you love to do again? What would you not do again? Then take a break, then repeat. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of my talk. Any questions? Okay, for pause. Thank you. Thank you so much for the chats, for the conversations back. It was wonderful reading. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't get to read all of them. It was just like browsing over them. But are there any questions?
It's like there's one from Lovely's Lisa. How does virtual affect real-life relationships?
It does. It in every way, however you allow it, it will affect your virtual relationship. Your real-life relationship, because of the time and the attention. The things that you are giving your virtual partner are things that you're taking away from your real-life partner. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Just give the audience time if they want to ask any questions. Feel free to do so in general. We're kind of changing the format here a little bit since our speaker is looking at the chat. So you're getting a lot of compliments there.
Thank you. Yes.
They want to read your book as well.
Or at least just read or watch the video, the trailer for the book. It's actually an excerpt from the book, and there are excerpts. If you go to the website, let me put out the website again. If you go to the website, there are a few extracts there. Oops. www.lovelikeDimsum.com. Knight, would you repeat the question? I did catch it.
What shoes do you like best?
What shoes do I like best? I prefer to be barefoot, honestly.
I think that was the question that was asked. I see it up there on the top.
When I was my first dance in Second Life, the first dance I had in a formal place, actually. I was such a newbie. I was less than a year old, and thank you for the friendship. And I didn't have anything. I didn't have a gown, so I found a freebie gown. But I was barefoot. So I was dancing with my friend barefoot, and it was just I've always been barefoot for a long time since then. Then I started doing the fashion modeling thing, and I had to wear shoes. Thank you for the friendships. I have to warn you though. Let me give you my email address. You can email me at leah@lovelikeDimsum.com. Because this avatar is in my real name. Com. That's com. It's in my real name. If I explore other first, it will not be in this avatar. Because I'm in Twitter. My Twitter is very, very personal though. It's Traybox. That's the name of my another one of my. But feel free to email me. I'll always respond to my emails. And who knows? We might even meet, with my anonymous avatar. Oh yeah, the IRS. Thank you. Or if you email me, if you'd like to, sit down and chat, then email me and I will come in and we'll schedule a time and I'll come in and chat. So that I promise that I'll do that. But I just can't just come in randomly.
Is there a specific dimension that you like to hang out in?
My home, what I consider my home is Second Life, but I also have presences in other OpenSim grids, including Kitely. I have, but there's hardly anybody in my circle in Kitely though, because I'm hardly there either.
Mm-hmm.
Do I do marriage counseling? um, I do, as long as you don't, take my advice. Oh, it is an ebook. It's only an ebook. It's not a paper book.
Do you do marriage counseling?
Yeah, I wish I would, but I don't think I'd give the right advice. Actually, my usual advice for friends who are married and they're having relationships in second. I have a friend. I'll tell you about my friend. My friend had a relationship in Second Life, and it became really serious. And he was married, and his wife eventually found out, but she stayed with him. It's just this wonderful, wonderful woman. I'm like, she's amazing that she would stay with him. He's this idiot. An idiot, because he just takes her for granted, whereas he's playing with his playmate and all that stuff, and he's talking to me about what he wants to do and all that. And this is my advice: is try to work out your real life relationship, because they're going to be your because they've been with you. You have this history with them, and they know you a whole lot better. They accept you for who you are in real life, with all your quirks and all your flaws and all that. Whereas your virtual partner probably only knows the good parts of you. So if you could have both, if your partner is willing, and you could have both, great. But I think you have to have that conversation. Going back to the question about whether it's cheating, my okay, I'm going to say this is my perception. This is my philosophy about that. If your real life partner thinks it's cheating, then it is cheating. And I've met a lot of people whose real life partners actually don't think it's cheating. They actually know about their virtual relationships. They kind of peek in over their shoulder and say, "Who's that?" And then they move on, go do something else, back in the kitchen or whatever. Yes, exactly. Sometimes they're even friends with them. Sometimes they even have a presence also in world, and then they either join. I mean, it just becomes open. It becomes it's kind of like they're not open in real life, but they're open in Second Life, something like that. No, it's a personal choice actually. It's not it's not that they don't care about each other. They actually are deeply in love with each other, is what I found. And then they allow them that freedom to just like exploring their other interests. That's how they view it. Um, but it's a personal choice. Yes, it's a very, very personal choice. Any more questions? Comments? Did I miss? Not the sex so much. You could be cheating, yes. If your spouse thinks that is cheating, then it is. Yeah, I would. That's my point of view, anyway. Lara, that's not necessary though. That's not necessary that you're happy in your real life and you won't be here. Some people come in a virtual world for other things. For work, for example, for volunteer work, for networking, for teaching, and then they meet somebody and it just happens. Maybe they shouldn't have been open to that happening, but and maybe they shouldn't have moved beyond just friendship. That's one thing, but it does happen. Did I miss any? I know there were several questions during the talk. That if I missed anything, did I miss anything? It says a lot about your current relationship. Yes, it might. Um, there's one metaphor that I mentioned in my book. It's about if you're single and you're somewhere near a couple. It's compared it to an atom. Like if an atom is unstable because it only has one electron or whatever, right? Then it's easier for that electron to pull out, something like that. Sorry. um, so if it's a stable relationship in real life, then it's okay if there's another one swirling around. But if it's unstable, then it can get pulled off. It's a metaphor. I'm not yes, it should happen or whatever. But a lot of things that happen in virtual reality happens in real life too. So it's also the same. If you're at work and you meet somebody you just fall in love with, it then it gets the marriage in trouble also. Um, I understand the possessiveness in here, Mystique, yes, because you don't know very much about the person. You don't know where they are. It's harder to track somebody in online virtually than you do in real life. Once a week is not enough. A lot of people are very insecure, and we all bring our insecurities, and it shows up no matter what. It happens all the time. How to deal with stalkers? Okay, this is hard. Um, create a new account is what I would say. It's hard. Well, see, here's what I do. If you befriend the stalker, I don't know. Well, it may not be a good advice. I'm sorry. I can't. Okay, I have to kind of like be careful about this question. uh, because sometimes if you're very, depends on the stalker. Because if you're too nice to them, then they think, oh yes, it's encouragement. She really likes me. Then they'll stalk you even more. On the other hand, if you push them away, sometimes they like that. That means they'll chase you more. So it's you don't really know unless you know the stalker better and what kind of stalker they are. So I can't answer that question. I'd rather not answer that question. That can get me in trouble. So just be careful. I would just suggest just either, I don't know, can you mute somebody in other verse or
Yes,
just
you can.
okay, good. So then
There's an
just
ignore
mute
button.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a way for what if they report somebody who's harassing them or something, can they
Definitely a reporting system as well.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I would go with that. I would go with that. Although this is well, yeah, I would go with that. And a good suggestion, Echo. Yeah, get to know the person carefully before getting too involved. Well, dark alleys aren't so bad in virtual reality, so it's okay. But about giving too much information about yourself too soon, that can be hard. Only 10 is a very small number. Lovelies. I have more than 30 now. But then what I do is okay, this is what I do in for when to manage my multiple relationships. My I would they would all know about my primary account, which is Opal Lei in Second Life, and I actually use Opal Lei as my. She's not anonymous anymore, so I don't do relationships with her anymore. But but what I do is when I have a new lover that I want to be serious with, then I create a new avatar, and then he creates a new avatar for me also, a new account. So then we have that privacy. Then we can be we can be together without worrying about who knows us, without worrying about customers pinging me and saying, "Hey, can you help me?" Or it's more like showing him respect because he gives me that time and attention. So I don't want to be bothered by anybody else during that time. And same with friends. You love your friends, but if they're saying hi in the middle of, yes, oh my God, I'm about to come, then you don't want to do that. So that gives you a little bit of privacy and a little bit of quiet time. So anyway, and then we're already at the hour, I think. Feel free to send me email if you have more questions. I would try, or if you want to schedule another time to kind of just chat and or whatever. If weekends are freer for me than during the week, but let me know.
Leah,
Thank
that
you.
was fantastic. I can tell that our audience really loved your presentation,
Thank you.
and we
Thanks so
would
much.
definitely love to have you back for another show. Yes, come back next year. We have
Thank you.
another show that we do in February. It's our adult virtual convention. We'd love to have you back for that. And so hopefully you'll come back and speak with us again.
Thank you. I would love to. Thank you. I'll be here. I'll be here for a while if you want to chat outside or whatever.
Great. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you
So,
very much.
our next presentation is not happening until 3 p.m., and it is happening here in the lecture hall, and that's going to be what is the engagement level of your virtual relationship. So you definitely want to come and check that out. Leah's going to be hanging around here if you want to continue to talk to her. Please feel free to do so. Voting is now closed for the VirtualCon Audience Choice Award, so thank you to everybody who voted and for everybody who participated in being a part of that. The awards ceremony itself will take place at 5 p.m. in the awards hall. For those of you that are exhibitors and sponsors or had an invite to the mastermind, if you'd like to get one for the awards as well, please do so in the same means that you did to get into mastermind, and we'll do that. Once again, that's an invite-only session as well, just so that we can keep it down to those who have been nominated and so on and so forth. So thank you very much. Thank you again, Leah. That was fantastic, and we will see you all back here at 3 o'clock.